Once the beating heart of the American economy, U.S. manufacturing seemed to fade into the past. For decades, offshoring was the norm, with factories relocating to China, Mexico, or Southeast Asia in pursuit of lower costs. But suddenly, reshoring is back in vogue. Is this the beginning of a true industrial revival? Or just political window dressing? Today on Econolocast, we ask, is America's manufacturing comeback for real? Or just a reshoring illusion? The U.S. once accounted for over 25% of global manufacturing output in the post-World War II era. Detroit was the Motor City. Pittsburgh was the Steel City. Cleveland, Buffalo, and others were industrial giants. But from the 1980s through the early 2000s, globalization reshaped the landscape. Between 2000 and 2010 alone, the U.S. lost over 5.8 million manufacturing jobs, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Trade liberalization, especially China's entry into the WTO in 2001, accelerated offshoring. The dominant idea was, why make it in America when you can make it cheaper abroad? That logic came under pressure during the U.S. China trade war of 2018 and completely unraveled during the COVID-19 pandemic. Medical supply chains broke. Ports were clogged. Semiconductors became scarce. For the first time in decades, policymakers and CEOs alike began questioning global dependence. Reshoring refers to the strategic movement of manufacturing back to the United States from overseas locations. It's often used interchangeably with onshoring and contrasted with offshoring. There are also variations. Nearshoring, shifting production closer to home, like moving from China to Mexico. Friendshoring, moving production to allied countries, such as Vietnam or India. The motives go beyond economics. National security, ensuring access to critical inputs like chips and pharmaceuticals. Resilience, avoiding disruptions from pandemics, wars, or political tensions. Jobs and regional revitalization, reviving struggling industrial towns. Climate goals, reducing carbon-intensive supply chains. The reshoring narrative is being actively shaped by industrial policy. The CHIPS and Science Act, 2022, allocated $52 billion to rebuild America's semiconductor manufacturing, including fabs by Intel, TSMC, and Samsung. The Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, offered hundreds of billions in green subsidies for electric vehicles, batteries, and clean tech. According to the Rhodium Group, over $100 billion in private investment was announced within a year of the IRA's passage. Buy American provisions have been expanded under President Biden, requiring domestically produced goods for federally funded projects. Meanwhile, tariffs and trade controls on China, first imposed under Trump, remain largely intact, with growing restrictions on tech exports. These policies represent the most assertive American industrial strategy in over 40 years. So, is it working? According to the Reshoring Initiative, the U.S. announced 360,000 new manufacturing jobs in 2023, the highest ever recorded. Major companies are reshoring or expanding. Intel is investing $100 billion in Ohio chip plants. TSMC is building fabs in Arizona. Volkswagen, Hyundai, and Ford are scaling EV production in the U.S. Foreign direct investment, FDI, in U.S. manufacturing has surged. In 2023, $140 billion flowed into the sector, according to the U.S. Department of Commerce. But there are hurdles. A severe shortage of skilled labor threatens to delay or undercut new investments. Wages and input costs remain significantly higher than in Asia. Infrastructure, permitting delays, and regulatory bottlenecks add friction. Simply put, the factories may be back, but the supply chains, skills, and support systems are still catching up. Studio microphone, Section 5. Is it sustainable? 7:15 to 9 o'clock. The question isn't just whether reshoring is happening, but whether it's sustainable. Prospects look promising. Automation and AI reduce the labor cost gap. Corporate ESG mandates are pushing toward localized, lower-emission production. Global realignments, such as China Plus One strategies, are increasing interest in domestic or nearshore capacity. But risks remain. What happens if political leadership changes? Will future administrations continue funding and incentivizing industrial revival? Budget deficits and rising interest rates may curtail long-term subsidies. According to a 2024 McKinsey report, only 15% of CEOs see reshoring as financially viable without state support, suggesting that this industrial revival is fragile without policy continuity. America's reshoring ambition is also reshaping the global manufacturing map. China is no longer the automatic first choice. Firms are diversifying to India, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Mexico, benefiting from USMCA and proximity, is emerging as a new hub for nearshoring. This shift signals a broader realignment of global supply chains. Regionalization is replacing globalization. Security alliances are influencing economic flows. Industrial policy is back, not just in America, but also in Europe and Asia. We are entering a more fragmented and potentially more resilient global production ecosystem. So, is America's manufacturing comeback real? The answer is partly. The intentions are real, the investments are real, and the policy tools are robust. But the scale, sustainability, and strategic follow-through remain uncertain. America's reshoring revolution will likely succeed in select strategic sectors, semiconductors, defense batteries, where national interest overrides cost. However, for a full-scale industrial rebirth, the U.S. must address workforce development, infrastructure modernization, and maintain bipartisan policy momentum. In other words, reshoring is not just about bringing factories home. It's about rebuilding an entire economic ecosystem. Thank you for watching Econolocast. If you found value in this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Will America succeed in reshoring? Or is the world simply entering a new phase of globalization? Let's discuss. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed.